Hello, my little pretties. What's up? It's your Mistress Queen of Lions here, and welcome back to another episode of Shadows and Pretties. Now, I hope you all had a very good Merry Christmas this year. So, if we can hope 2021 becomes a better year, which I'd hope so because this year's been really rough. I want to thank you so much for supporting me throughout all the hard times, even though we're going through it right now as of today. So, today this is episode 48 of Shadows and Pretties. So, with that being said and done, I am going to be talking about another episode of Shadows and Pretties, and this is not a Christmas related one, so I do apologize for that, but I will do more Christmas episodes of Shadows and Pretties in the future, which will most likely be next year, so, alrighty. So, with that being said, I'm gonna sit there and, basically, today, what's better to start off this episode of Shadows and Praise? Now, we're getting close to the end of the year, so, yeah. So, today we are going to do a Don Bluth film, which is called Thumbelina. Now, this Thumbelina movie came out in 1994. It is based on the Hans Christian Andersen's, story of Thumbelina, which we will be talking about that. And we are going to be talking about the 1994 movie. So most of you guys who were born in the 90s probably have remembered seeing this as a kid. And yeah. So with that being said, this has Jodie Benson in it. Yes, she's the same one person who voiced Ariel in The Little Mermaid. So, yeah. With that being said, I'm gonna say this now. If I'm gonna be spoiling everything about the movie and even about the original story, so if you don't want me to spoil any of this, I highly recommend you click off this video right now. If you don't want to hear me spoil it. So, with that being said, it's a lonely widow longing for a child as her own garden has been given barely used by a seed by a friendly witch. She plants the seed and grows into a flower, and a tiny girl emerges inside, no bigger than an old woman's thumb. The old woman names the tiny girl Thumbelina and raises her as her own. Although Thumbelina loves her mother, she still craves a companionship with some of her own size. So yeah, this is actually a pretty interesting concept. When I first saw this as a kid, I wasn't really that interested in this story, but now looking at it as an adult, I really do like how well this story was really well developed. It is a really good Don Bluth film, and of course, this is based on the original story, which the original story of it is a little bit different compared to this one. So, of course, one night a fairy prince called Cornelius stumbles upon Thumbelina after hearing her singing. The two take a ride on Cornelius's bumblebee, and that's when the two fall in love. During the ride, Mrs. Toad and her son Grundle, who were enchanted by Thumbelina's singing that night, Miss Toad kidnaps Thumbelina and designs her to join her new show trope with Mary Gondel. Of course, yet again, Thumbelina is being rescued by Giacomino as a swallow, and meanwhile, Cornelius learns about her kidnapping and returns to his kingdom, the Vale of the Fairies, and asks the parents to try holding back the winter as long as they can. So eventually, Grundle learns that Thumbelina escapes and ventures out to find her. So meanwhile, trying to get home, Thumbelina is ambushed by Berkeley, the beetle, who promises to show her the way home if she sings the beetle ball. So of course she reluctantly complies, but as her bug disguise falls off during the concert, she is denounced by the ugly as ugly, so the beetle rejects her without helping her. So she's next found by Jack Remo, and who promises to find Cornelius, so the beetle is confronted by Grundle and suggests Grundle to kidnap Cornelius and uses him as bait to lure Thumbelina. So Grundle sources the beetle's partnership by removing his wings. Yeah, very, very harsh right there, on my opinion, but it's still a pretty good concept. So, upon the arrival of winter, Cornelius falls into a pond by a beetle trap, which is frozen, while Quamero injures his wing and loses consciousness due to extreme cold. So Thumbelina is forced to take refuge in the old shoe, where she is discovered by Miss Fieldmouse and granted her shelter underground lair. After relying on Cornelius's fate to her, the Miss Fieldmouse introduces her to his neighbor Mr. Mole, who becomes infatuated with her and decides to marry her. So, devastated by the apparent loss of Cornelius, Thumbelina gives in hopelessness and accepts Mr. Mole's proposal. So, however, Giacomo revives, and then before Thumbelina can get the chance to explain what happened to Cornelius, he resolves to find himself before the wedding. So the beetle and Grundle find Cornelius' frozen body and learns about Thumbelina's wedding, whom they leave Cornelius behind, and the trio, friendly insects, and they find and follow Cornelius at the wedding. Meanwhile, Thumbelina finds herself unable to marry Mr. Mole after remembering Cornelius' promise to always love her. So, of course, Grundle and the beetle arrive, but of course, the chase starts off, and Cornelius, however, arrives and engages in Grundle in the fight. So, Giacomo, eventually finds the Vale of Fairies and takes Thumbelina there. So, yeah. But basically, when I saw this story, I actually remember the story being, a pretty interesting one, but I wasn't really crazy on it, especially when I was a young kid. So, with that being said, but with me as an adult looking at this now, I absolutely found this to be an amazing story. So she and Cornelius eventually reunited in the movie, and then she magically grows her own pair of wings upon accepting his proposal, while the mother and the fairy court attendants were the two marry and depart as Cornelius Bumblebee. Well, that's basically what happens. So, of course, the beetle's wings eventually regrews and he resumed his pop career, but Grundle survives the fight with a broken leg and is married to a female toad, and Mr. Mole married to Miss Fieldmouse. So that's basically is in the mid-credits scene. So, with that being said, I actually found this story to be rather amazing, well done, and pretty interesting, especially with the fact the whole concept of this, it's actually a pretty well-made story. So, we're going to go on with the original story that was written by Hans Christian Andersen. So, with that being said, let's get started. So, the Thumbelina story, the Hans Christian Andersen version, was written by him in the Danish one and was made on December 16th, 1835. So, yeah, that's basically as in Denmark, it was replaced with The Naughty Boy and The Traveling Companion in the constant installment of fairy tales told for children. So, of course, with that being said, Thumbelina is about a tiny girl with her own adventures, with her marriage in mind of toads and moles and cockroaches and that. But she successfully avoids all of this attentions before falling in love to her own flower fairy prince just her size. Alright, so with that being said, the plot of this is kind of similar to the original story, but except it's very, very, very a little disturbing, but mostly very different. So a woman has been yearning for a child and asks Witch for the advice, which she presented a barleycorn, which she is told to go home and plant. In the English transition, which she opens the big woman, giving her a present's life as a berrycorn in exchange for food. So that's basically differences. So after the berrycorn is planted as sprouts, a tiny girl, Thumbelina, emerges from its flower. So one night, she's asleep in her walnut shell cradle, and she's carried off by a toad who wants her as a bride for her son. So with the help of the friendly fish and the butterfly, Thumbelina escapes the toad and with her son, and drifts on the lily pad, but of course, it is till she's captured by the stag beetle, who later discards her as when his friends rejects her company. So, yeah, very different compared to, the original movie. So Thumbelina tries to protect herself from the elements, but however, when winter calls in desperate of straits, she is finally given shelter by an old field mouse who allows her to dwell in with the gratitude. Thumbelina soon sees a swallow who is injured while visiting a mole, and a neighbor of the field mouse. She then meets the swallow one night and finds out what happened to him. Upon visiting the swallow, she keeps visiting him during midnights without telling the field mouse, who tries to help him gain strength, and she frequently spends more time with him, singing songs and telling him stories and listening to his stories until till the winter upon spring comes. So the swallow eventually becomes healthy and promises that he would take her to that spot again and flies away. Waving goodbye to Thumbelina, at the end of the winter, the mouse suggests Thumbelina to marry the mole, but Thumbelina finds the protect of being married such to the creature is repulsive because she spends all of her days underground and never see the sun or sky, nor that she is impressive with knowledge of the ancient history and a lot of other topics. So meanwhile, the field mouse keeps pushing Thumbelina into the marriage, saying the mole is a good match for her, and when she does not listen to her protests, Thumbelina eventually agrees and is grateful that the field mouse is who is her guardian. So, At the last minute, Thumbelina escapes the situation by fleeing far with the swallow as she nursed him back to health during the winter. So in the Sunny Flowers, Thumbelina meets a tiny fairy prince just decides to her liking. And they eventually wed and receives a pair of wings to accompany her husband through the travels from flower to flower. And eventually a new name, Maya, at the end of the swallow was heartbroken once Thumbelina marries the flower fairy prince. It flies off eventually, arriving at a small house, where he tells Thumbelina's story to a man who implied to be Andersen himself and the chronicles of his own book. So that was basically the original fairy tale, which I could definitely say the original fairy tale of this is very different compared to how the movie went. So with that being said, of course, there were some other versions of the story, but that's the famous one that I've been telling. So, of course, there was a live action of this tale that was released in 1985, a television dramatized version of the anthology of Fairy Tale Theater. And yes, this was actually another one. So, of course, this production eventually starred Carrie Fisher, and yes, rest in peace, by the way. And of course, a version of the fairy tale was filmed in Pirates World and now a defunct Florida theme park. And there was some other versions that that's been told, but the animated musical fantasy film that of course Thumbelina was made, it was actually a pretty good concept. So the voice cast actually did a good job. The songs were amazing, and everything about it was really well done. I could definitely say when Warner Home Video released it on VHS. However, it got really popular, and of course, with that being the case, the film was released on VHS in the United Kingdom, and of course, they eventually released it on DVD. Of course, first in 2002, Thumbelina was released on VHS and DVD, licensed by 20th Century Fox. And then eventually on March 6, 2012, Thumbelina was re-released on Blu-ray. So Thumbelina is available in certain areas, so you guys might be able to see it. So with the production of the release, the Thumbelina production started around February of 1991 and then finished in May 1993 with Don Bluth, of course, finishing with the concept and stuff like that. So, of course, the recording and animation did not begin until early of 1992, and the film was complete with funds from the filmmaker, and of course, with Hong Kong based media sets after Don Bluth Entertainment was filed for bankruptcy. But it was originally to be distributed in North America by J&M Studios overseas, was originally stated for Thanksgiving release in 1993 in the States. However, by the time it was complete, both companies dropped the arrangement due to concerns of bankruptcy, and Don Bluth's studio, Warner Bros., had bought the distribution rights to it in 1993 in March, and Thumbelina was released on March 30th, 1994. When it was released, it was predicted by the Animaniacs short. So, yeah, that's basically what the whole concept of this movie is. So, I definitely have to say Thumbelina is actually a really well-made story. I do like the movie, though, but the Hans Christian Andersen one is a very well-made concept. It's a good story, too. So I highly recommend, if you have not seen this movie, to really check it out, as this is actually a really, 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 really good story. And I definitely have to say that I do like how the concept went out. I do like how everything went as it was planned. It was just amazing, really well done. So I definitely have to say that I do like Thumbelina, and I actually found it to be rather adorable. It's cute at certain parts too, I'm not gonna lie. So, with that being the case, however, what did you guys think about this story, the Thumbelina one? Did you like the Hans Christian Andersen one? Did you like the movie? Do you like them both? Also, what we have done personally to help make these two stories a lot better, or this movie better, or whatever you prefer to call it better. Leave me know what your thoughts are down in the comment section down below. As I'm the Queen of Lions, thank you so much for watching today's episode. If you happen to be brand new here on this channel, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, because I make brand new videos every single day. And don't forget to ring the notification bell to when I upload, so then that way you guys will not miss an upload. And as always, I'll be seeing you all next time. Peace out, everyone, and I'll see you all in the next upload.